after that. And David Bowie opens up his wardrobe as we go behind the scenes at last night's star-studded preview. See you in a couple of minutes. Listeners who turned out to celebrate the one and only David Bowie. Right now though, it's 9 o'clock. Let's get the news with Ranvir. Now, we've got all the news from last night now and a glimpse into the life of one of my, well, all-time heroes. A new David Bowie exhibition opens in London this weekend, and Dan Wooten joined a host of famous fans for a very special preview.
David Bowie has influenced music, art and fashion for an incredible 6 decades. And that's why his exhibition has become the fastest selling in the history of London's Victoria and Albert Museum. And we've got the sneak peek. Follow me. And dance the blues. Currently #1 in the album charts for the first time in 20 years. This is definitely Bowie's moment. David Robert Jones was born in Brixton in 1947, and by 1965 a musical legend, now called David Bowie, had officially arrived. This is Major Tom to ground control. He released Space Oddity to coincide with the first moon landing, and a lineup of iconic characters and costumes quickly followed. The original Ziggy Stardust outfit he wore on top of the Pops revealed Bowie had a tiny 26.5-inch waist. He wore this sinister silver Pierrot costume in the pioneering Ashes to Ashes video. Ashes to ash and fun to fuck it. We know Major Tom's a junkie. So that's a taster of what's inside, and now I'm on the red carpet waiting for Bowie's biggest celebrity fans to check out the exhibition for themselves. How much of an influence to you was David?
More now than he was at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And have you heard anything about the exhibition?
No, just that, you know, his underwear's going to be on show and some socks.
What would you say is your favourite Bowie song if you had to pick one?
My God. Do you know what? There's so many songs, you know, there isn't one song I can think of that's my favourite song. But my favourite look is his album cover where he has the big kind of bolt across his face. You know, he's a legend, he's in London and we're happy to be here.
Do you have a favourite song? Or?
Heroes, and I think last year with Heroes it was the anthem for the Olympics, and yeah, so I'm really excited to get in.
When I was 12, I bought a copy of Aladdin Sane, and I walked about with it for 2 years before I had a record player. That's how important he was to me. And like a lot of people, it was the sight of him that got me first.
You had the honour of starring in his video.
Yes,
Tell
I
me
did.
about that experience.
Oh, I can't even begin. He rang me up.
Really? What did he ask you?
He said hello, and I said hello, and he said, "This is David Bowie."
Wow, well, Diana's here now. I'll tell you what, she could be David's sister. It's extraordinary. And sadly, there was one person that wasn't there, which was the man himself.
That's right, David himself. He did not turn up, Lorraine, but that is all part of this anti-PR campaign. That's what his new album has been described as.
Right.
But very sadly, actually, David has said he's never going to perform again. His last performance was in 2006, performed live, of course. He's never going to give an interview again. And the rumours are that he is likely to view this exhibition in disguise. So you never know, one day you might be down there and David could be next to you. But Steve Strange, remember him, the 80s rocker?
Of course I remember Steve,
He did take a bit of a phone call on the red carpet from David. Now, you be the judge for yourself whether this was a PR stunt or the real deal. Take a look.
Mr. Bowie. Hello. How are you, David? I'm there. I've arrived.
That's quite funny. That is quite funny. So David Bowie himself in New York.
That's right, with his wife and man, of course.
Yes, of course, he's over there. Now, highlights for you of this, because it's an amazing exhibition, isn't it?
This exhibition is actually really special. It's the first time that anyone has been given access to David's personal archive, which contains over 7,000 items. And for me, what is so special is those very personal items, so song lyrics and that sort of thing. But I think my favourite item was a diary entry from David's personal diary. It's handwritten, and it's on the day he first worked with John Lennon, and him just describing that experience, how happy it made him. So for Bowie fans, you know, it really is one to watch. But also, if you're a follower of fashion too, some of the outfits in there are just amazing. He was so ahead of his time, wasn't he? I mean, my favourite was that item we just saw actually from 1997, the Alexander McQueen dress. But exactly, there are just so many iconic looks, so many from such a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Timing's perfect, of course, because it's #1.
That's the thing. Exactly. This has been the comeback of all comebacks, especially given he hasn't been out there at all himself. His new album, The Next Day, was his first #1 in 2 decades, and actually his first release at all in 10 years. Also went #1 in 12 other countries. And, of course, incredibly, it is 44 years since he did first burst onto the scene.
No, that makes me feel very old, because I've loved him since 1969, the Space Oddity and all of that. And then I went away and bought, do you remember they brought out the Laughing Gnome and all these sort of funny Anthony Newley sort of esque things, and his first album, and I've got them every single one of them, and every single time he surprises you.
Absolutely.
Every single time.
And I do think, though, if you think back to 1972 and the introduction of Ziggy Stardust, it was such a very important moment.
Do you remember that Starman on Top of the Pops, when he looked right at the camera?
Yeah.
Nobody ever looked at the camera, and he said, I picked on you, and I thought he was talking to me. Everybody thought he was talking directly to them.
Well, that's what Tilda said actually last night. Any time she hears those songs from that era, she still gets goosebumps to this day. And actually, though, one of my favourite songs is Changes, also from 72. Some great facts within this exhibition. Ridiculously, that song never made the top 40. What's that about?
That's incredible, isn't it? And we saw all those famous faces last night. I would imagine it was an eclectic bunch.
It was, because everyone from very, very modern artists like LaRue to all of the sort of big 80s glam stars like Boy George have all been very, very personally influenced by David Bowie. And actually, I was having a chat with Bill Nighy, and he said that he actually describes David Bowie as the artist of his generation. Now, when he says artist, he was saying he's not just talking about singers, musicians, rock stars. He's talking about painters, film directors. That's how significant he views David Bowie is. And so I think that's why this exhibition has already been such a sellout. Of course, it opens in London to the public at the V&A Museum on Saturday.
Oh, I'm definitely going. I'm so sad that I couldn't go last night, but I've got to be a good girl and go to bed early. I'm so sad because I was desperate to go, but I will definitely go. And that image there, I actually painted that on my bedroom wall very badly, but I did actually paint that whole thing. And I remember going to school, I got into trouble, I had a duffel coat, and I had Bowie embroidered on the back of the duffel coat, and I used to go to school with a circle in my head. That's how mad I was. But it was just, but he did influence absolutely everybody. He made it all right for you to feel that you could express yourself.
Absolutely, and the exhibition shows how he's affected pop culture directly. So it takes big news events and shows what he was doing at the time. It really is good. I do recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. What an amazing, amazing man. He'd be my dream guest to have on, but I wouldn't be able to talk to him because I'd be beside myself.
Your last interview, David. Come on, one more.
Just one more. Dan, thank you so much.
Lorraine.
And when we come back, movie gossip from a Hollywood star. I'm talking to Hobbit actress Kate Blanchett. See you in a couple of minutes.